Hey Ruth, how are you?
Yay, okay. Hi, I'm well.
Let me start my video. I'm just getting set with, I have multiple screens so I can do the minutes while I'm watching everyone.
Okay, that is cool. I never mastered that. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Ruth. My apologies actually to Claude and everybody. I don't know what happened for the last meeting, but I had it on my calendar and then the time went by. Something
What happened?
I'm sorry. I don't
You know,
normally do that.
we all know the feeling from experience, not theoretically, not hypothetically. We all know it all too well. Nobody's judging.
Okay, good. Thank you. I hope you both had a nice Thanksgiving.
We did. I did. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I have an M and I have a Joe. Okay. I heard from Anne a short while ago that she is en route. She doesn't think she will be available until maybe 10 or 15 past 4. Look at Paul McComb. And so she is asking that I begin the meeting and that we take things a bit out of order. So that she is able to comment on minutes. Oh, I see her. Look at you.
There
It's
she is.
before
Yay.
4 o'clock. You made it.
We made it.
Good enough. Oh, Paul, you changed your photo.
I'm gonna try to do that every meeting. I think it'll add some pizzazz, you know, so.
Yes.
So
You have
this is
to see if we notice. And we
Yeah.
did, or Ruth did.
the culvert replacement.
Oh, how far back in
Wow.
time is
Early
that?
early 50s.
Would you look at the power pole in the corner?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
I'll try a new one. I'll try a new one every meeting.
Hi, Anita.
Hello.
Okay, I need
Happy
to know.
Monday after Thanksgiving. Anybody got turkey left?
We ate at someone else's house, so they got to keep the leftovers,
Oh.
which
I
is
was-
good. I didn't have to do, I didn't have to cook the whole thing, just a couple of offerings.
Last night's news, they said after 4 days of turkey in the refrigerator, we're supposed to ditch it all along with all leftovers. And I said, that 4 days doesn't seem long enough.
If it's in the fridge, it seems like it should be okay.
No, some national health board said 4 days leftovers from Thanksgiving is not, beyond 4 days is not healthy. But, we still have a few things left, so I'm not ready to throw them out. Maybe tomorrow. But
What time is dinner, Anita?
Yeah, I know. We only had a small group, but we seemed somehow we still had leftovers. So
Yeah, we sent care packages home.
That's what we did. So it's all gone. The kids have it all.
Yeah. So we're waiting for Bruce and Claude. Huh?
Well, Claude's
Claude's
here.
here.
Claude.
Oh, there you are. There.
I don't see a Bruce, but I spoke to him this morning. He's having some trouble with his email address, and so he needs to pick up his documents from the website. But he fully intended to be present. So Ruth, Claude, Paul, and Okay.
Well, I'm not going to wait. It sounds like he's having issues and there may be some troubleshooting going on. But since everybody else is here, let's go ahead and start the meeting. And the first call of the meeting is approval of the minutes from the last one.
Move approval.
There were actually a couple of comments. Let me just bring it up. One of them was to make a little bit more explicit. Paul had made a comment. Let me just bring it up, the draft minutes.
I can remind you of it, Claude. It was the
Yep,
fact that the HR report that he was sent talked about the unionized groups as not being anybody of note of beyond the fact that they were unionized and they were out of the HR control.
so what I've done is I'll read the sentence that I had, and then I'll add the phrase that I'd like to add if everyone agrees.
Yeah.
Paul McCone discussed our need for clarity about the number and departments of employees not covered by collective bargaining agreements. And here's the new part, particularly since not all of those in the police and fire departments are covered by collective bargaining agreements.
Or the school department for that matter, just for your edification.
Okay, well, if you want, I'll add school in there too.
Yeah,
Police, fire, okay.
because they are not part of any union.
But do they come under, I always thought the school was sort of a separate system.
Well, they are, but I just wanted to point out that it is the
Okay.
school as well.
That was one, and then the other was under discussion in the third paragraph, I mentioned, who's contacting whom, and I missed one. So I'd like to add the sentence, and Rarich agreed to contact those on the personnel board.
Yeah.
And sorry, is it Rarick?
Yeah,
Rarick, okay, agreed to contact those on the personnel board.
yeah.
Okay, so those are the only changes. Also, one other thing just to note, and I'll do this unless anyone thinks differently. Where we have others present, if somebody chooses to just have an email address, I'm not going to list them. However, if they identify themselves with a first and last name, I then will list them. So because otherwise we would have to explicitly ask, hi, who is this? What's your name? And that I don't know that we necessarily need to get to that level of detail. If people are comfortable putting their names up, we minute them. If they want to just have an email address or a telephone number, we don't minute them as
I'm
president.
fine with that.
Okay.
My illiteracy will jump in here now. How do I see the draft minutes? I've never seen draft minutes.
They went out with the package that Ruth sent out.
It was one of the attachments Ruth sent.
I don't get it. I'm not getting.
Okay.
I'm
Usually
not
I
getting
send out within the appropriate time scale, the agenda and any documents. I send both to the town clerk for posting and to the members of the task force as listed in the on our webpage. You gave us your address and I send it to your address.
Okay, I'm not getting them, because I was looking for prior to the, seeing Claude's draft minute or the minutes from last week. I can't find them the draft.
I would recommend, while we're fixing this, I would recommend that you make it a practice of going to the task force webpage, because that they're under agenda and minutes, you'll find them
Okay.
posted.
I will
But
do that.
we do need to work on this, because I did I sent you an email message midweek, not about the agenda.
Last week. Yeah,
Pardon me?
last week.
Yes, so
Was it an email or was it part of the
I sent you an
website?
individual email just to you. So
Never
we
got
need to work on that.
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the minutes?
Yes, I made that a motion and I
And I second it.
amended words.
Okay,
So all those in favor, please say aye and
aye.
raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Okay. Is that Bruce on the phone?
Yeah, my computer is not letting me get on. Yes.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad you're here.
Okay, so I'll send the adjusted minutes to Ruth and Ann immediately after the meeting.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And I will post with the town clerk tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So one of the things we talked about was the need to touch base with our colleagues who are on the personnel board now, Bill and Nancy specifically. And I drafted some questions that were all sent out, and that was a separate attachment as well. And you didn't get that either, Paul?
No, I'm not, no,
Jeez.
but I don't feel left out. Yeah, it's okay.
Well, except that I wanted you to have them to look at to see whether or not these are the kinds of questions you would like to have asked. And to add to that.
Yes, I would, well, I'd love to see
So
that.
what I will do is I will read the questions, since you don't have them. The first one was, what are the specific outcomes that the personnel board should be held accountable for? The second one was, do we have the right structure in place to meet the changing needs of our workforce? The third one was, do we have the right skill sets, number of employees for our future needs? The fourth one was, what new or improved systems do we need to do the administrative work of hiring, monitoring, and communicating that will help us attract and access the best candidates? The next one was specifically in HR to manage recruiting, orientation, training, evaluations, etc. That was talking about the systems. How can we get the citizens to respond supportively to any increase in spending? And what are your personal observations of where we are at this time? And then I got some other questions suggested from a friend. What obstacles are you experiencing in hiring or retaining employees? Have you experienced roadblocks in your department? And this was for managers. Managing personnel issues, and what improvements would you like to see in terms of information or communication between the personnel board, the employees, the HR staff, and department heads? So what's missing? What's redundant? What's not part of what is helpful? Open for conversation.
I would comment, Anne, that although the heading of your questions is talking about stakeholder,
Yeah.
I think they're more directly to the personnel board itself.
Yep.
And then as a subset, maybe department heads.
Yeah.
But
No,
we
I
have some
agree.
really more stakeholders than that.
Yeah.
I'd like to add a question that for all stakeholders, what would you envision as the outcome of this task force? What job should we be doing?
Good one. So, well, along with what is the personnel board accountable for? What is the task force accountable for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are these questions for the personnel board or?
Yes.
Or the,
No, that specifically, because that's the
Okay.
first group we're going to contact, other than the HR department.
Okay.
Other comments? I think, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Maybe it was already implied in one of the questions. I'd be interested almost in depth of what their thoughts are on what other roles do they feel comfortable or think would be helpful in the administration of the employees and the personnel board. And I'll throw a caveat at that. I'm not, this is possibly a question for a later date, but I'd like to bring up in thought, the exit interviews.
The what?
Exit interviews.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's a specific policy that either HR uses or anybody uses. I have a personal experience with an exit interview, and I can share that with you because I think it's interesting. And I'm wondering if the personnel board, if that's a role for maybe a member or in some scope of talking to people when they leave. I think there's a tremendous amount of information that we could glean from people that don't stay with us.
Yeah.
Or people that stayed for great periods of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
their entire careers, and have a wealth of.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my
Good point.
thought.
I'd say I think it was a good comment. I think I'd say though that I think we want to be careful at looking at what we're looking for this task force to do, what we're looking potentially for the personnel board to do, and not really going into the realm of what HR does in terms of hiring and 21st century and all that, which I don't think is our mandate. I think our mandate is more specifically what kind of information is the personnel board getting, should get, and so on, as opposed to making sure the HR department is doing a great job. I kind of think that's somebody else's business and not necessarily our business. I think that would be a broadening of our mandate.
I would comment on Claude's comment insofar as I would have agreed with you until my third or fourth or fifth reading of our charge, in which when I really started to get comfortable with it, I'm seeing HR and administration as our purview. And I'm thinking, well, now we're looking at more than just the board. So I don't know if the intention was to make it something else. I have, hold on what I call page 2, duties and responsibilities, ensure the town system for personnel administration is, and then we went on with efficient, consistent with strong town manager, able to maintain equity, accountability, transparency, respond quickly to changing laws and regulations, provides effective recruitment and retention. We're over that line into HR, and we have to find a way. To me, that just exploded the size of our task.
There's somebody with their hand up who's not on the task force, and
No, it's
I
Bruce
would like
Button. It's Bruce Button, and I'm on the task.
oh, very this is the first time I've seen you. Go ahead, Bruce.
I agree with what she just said. I think there's a lot more to do than we thought of when you read the thing.
Yeah.
And based on the phone calls some of us have been getting, I think that's even more important. So I would agree totally with what Ruth said.
I do as well. Quite frankly, just I think this is morphing as we go down the road.
Yeah.
And it's in the charge. So I wouldn't want to walk away from that.
Well, personally, I don't feel I have the expertise to question, comment, or decide on human resource policy, administration policy. I mean, I think at the minimum, what we'd want to do is separate out very carefully the things that we think are important in terms of, you know, reporting, information gathering, and so on. And then for those who feel comfortable opining, I'll probably, you know, not sit those meetings out, but I won't vote because I just don't have that expertise on issues like that. So I'm very comfortable on the more limited role that I had that was discussed with me in coming to the committee, and that Ruth seemed to be under the impression of until her third or fourth reading. And when it gets to going beyond that and telling the town how to run its business, that'll be somebody else, but not me.
Well, we are telling the town how to run the business. That's why we're a task force. Any other comments? Yes, please.
I agree with that one too. Next.
So I have not had a chance to talk to Susan and to Bill about whether they come to our next meeting or not, or how we go about having this conversation. My thought was I would like them to meet with all of us, if at all possible. I think that's what we discussed at the last meeting. What say all of you?
I'm unsure of what you mean, Ann. Are you saying you would like them to attend
Yes.
as representatives of their board and engage in a discussion?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful.
And I
Agreed.
would give them the questions ahead of time and make sure that you guys had the same questions. And if we have any additions, this would be the time to do that.
What questions are we giving them? I'm a little confused.
You were sent an appendix.
Yep, I saw the list. I'm just curious why we'd be giving them questions. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, it's starting off point. It's topics.
Okay.
And Bruce, what I asked was whether or not you had any other ones that you wanted added.
I've read the thing a couple times. I was off most of the last week. My view is there's too many questions there, but I don't have a solution to it yet. I
Okay.
would keep it more open-ended and just more general and get them to talk.
Okay.
That would be my approach, but no, that's just me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So I will follow up tomorrow with calls to Bill and Susan to see whether or not they're available.
Nancy Crowley.
Nancy, excuse me. And then the other point is that one of the things we started to talk about was we probably ought to have different questions for each different stakeholder. And I worked with Paul around some for HR. Does anybody want help putting some questions together for who they're supposed to be meeting with? Go ahead, Ruth.
I would suggest not help with the questions specifically. My group is the select board.
Yep.
My stakeholder group is the select board, sorry. I think I would ask not this formal list, but a more open-ended, maybe experience-based set of questions and see where it takes me.
Okay. And would you want to share them with the whole committee before you talk
Yes,
to us?
yes, I would do that. And I'm just wondering, given the excitement in the town of late, what this does to the timing of meeting with stakeholders. Certainly, we have talked about having our meeting with the personnel board first,
Yeah,
and then move each of us individually moving on to our stakeholders that would come afterwards. Paul, of course, took the very first step by meeting with and setting questions for the HR director. And we have yet to hear her responses or his summary of her responses. But eventually, I think we'll put all of my view is we would be pulling all of those things together
yeah,
in one report.
yeah.
Just for clarification for myself, I didn't, when I worked with Ann on, culling down or getting some questions to send to HR, I wasn't using the holistic, what I would like to talk about if we're going to sit down with, stakeholders. This was more data driven.
Okay.
And I think any conversation, at least that I would do, I'd want to need a little more time to think. It isn't just these questions that I've posed to, or that the group is posing to HR. It would be a wider range
Okay,
Yeah.
than just data. That's all I was looking for, and that were numbers.
okay. Bruce, go ahead.
Did you get the data you were looking for?
No,
Oh,
Why is that?
I don't know.
Do
The
we
email,
use that-
that was a process question. I had submitted so that we're all on the same page. I had come up with a list of what I thought were, appropriate questions. I forwarded them to Ann. Ann nicely reworded them. I could use a little editing, and took those verbatim, cut and paste in a email to Amy, which was a process question as to, is this a way you would like to receive questions? What's the process you would like to use? And I posed the questions. The response back was were two data points that I don't think did us any good. They were not, I have not received any answer to the questions.
Have you sent a second request?
No. I wanted to see the board's not reaction, but I'm interested in the board's reaction to not.
Second request?
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Hey,
Let's
maybe
Be careful.
we got
I
a
think we
bigger
should be
problem.
careful in commenting. I mean, I think we should always assume best intentions, and we don't know what's going on the other side. If you want to send another email follow-up, I think that's fair.
What did I comment that I shouldn't? I mean, he should get his answers to the questions he asked. It's been 2-3 weeks.
either that or a comment saying when they will come.
Right.
I will do that
Thank you.
at the end of this meeting. I'll send a second request.
Great. And now, and then another thing that came up at last meeting was the fact that a lot of the employees did not know that we existed. So I drafted a short, hopefully short, description of what we were doing and the fact that we were doing it, with the idea being of giving it to somebody like the town manager who could send it out to all the employees. And again, I don't know who's seen it. I mean, it was attached to the email, but I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't.
Sounds like a good idea anyway.
And and not being administrator, I can't share it on the screen with you. So I could either read it to you or resend it again.
I would think for purposes of moving along, you should at least read it. It got sent along to the town clerk, and it got sent to the members of this task force, but we've noticed already that 2 of our members are having difficulty receiving that.
Yeah.
It is a very short note, so I would think we could make progress by listening.
So here's what I wrote. Dear Concord employee, after 2021 town meeting, the Concord Select Board formed a citizen task force to study the charge of the Personnel Board and related documents, such as the personnel bylaws, and make recommendations for appropriate changes in time for the 2023 town meeting. The current bylaw is outdated and does not reflect the needs of our future workforce. The task force has set up a web page on the town website to provide background information and resources that they are reviewing, as well as minutes and agendas. You will see member contact information on this page, as well as should you wish to offer any comments. You can keep up to date with developments at this link, and I was going to put the website link in there.
Once we have it, yes.
Is that enough?
Hmm.
Is it too long?
No, I don't think it's too long. Might I just throw in as a tickler, a sentence that says it's possible within the time frame of this task force that we will be reaching out to you, or something to do with
Subset of you?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
something that says we're not just giving you something to read on a website, but we will be soliciting input.
Yeah.
At some level.
We welcome your input.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that.
Okay.
Do you think if we're going to add that, we should have the roster of the task force members attached? So
Well, it's on the website anyway.
Yes, but I meant on this note.
Okay.
The link is there, yes. We have to get some kinks worked out of this website. This is true.
And suggest that they're welcome to contact any members of the committee.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. Okay, I'll make those make those changes. The next thing we need to do is take a look at, just a minute, Anita, we'll be with you in just a minute. There was a comment at the last meeting that some people had troubles with Thursdays. And I wanted to logistically talk about when we meet next, because we're coming up on the last meeting that we have agreed to, which is the 9th of December.
I personally would prefer Mondays.
And just Mondays, okay.
I mean, I'll try to make everything work, but Mondays are much easier.
Is that something that is simpatico for the rest of you?
Yes, I could deal with Mondays.
I could deal with Monday. Except after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
retired.
Oh, Claude, we're missing Claude.
Thumbs up.
Where did you go?
Mondays are
Thumbs up.
fine. Mondays, Thursdays, both fine.
okay. And the 4 o'clock hour works for everybody? Okay.
Yep.
So do we want to try and have one more meeting before the end of the year? Other than the December 9th one?
I would think we probably should.
The 15. It's a it would almost have to be the week after this one, wouldn't it?
Well, if that were the case, maybe it could be a single topic. Maybe we could meet in a week and each of us share what we think our questions to our stakeholders are likely to be, and then work on each other's to make them better.
So it would be Monday, the 20th. What do people feel about the 20th of December at 4 o'clock? Would that be okay?
Fine with me.
Okay. And I think we probably ought to have one in January that we've got set up. And I would propose January 3rd. Now, is that,
Yep, that's a good place to start, in my opinion, yep.
It's fine.
Sure.
great?
Okay.
All right, then we'll go from there.
Our
Having
next one's Thursday, the 9th.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that a Thursday?
It
Yep.
was.
Change
Yeah.
that? Did you want to change that 9th to a different date?
I don't know, want to do it the 6th? Or the 13th?
Well, I think ought to be the 6th because we're going to meet the 20th.
Okay,
6 would work for me.
Okay,
So it's the 6th instead of the 3rd.
Instead of the
Instead of
9th.
the 9th. Right, we're losing the 9th and replacing it with the 6th. Is that correct?
yeah.
And not meeting the 3rd.
The January 3rd of 2022 is what we have.
Yes, we're
Okay.
meeting that as
So
well.
could
And
I
that's-
just summarize?
And that's a Monday.
So can I just summarize to make sure I have it for the minutes?
Yep.
So our next meeting schedule would be December 6th, 4 PM, December 20th, 4 PM, and January 3rd, 4 PM.
Thank you, Claude. That's a great
Okay.
summary.
I agree.
Okay. Public comment. Ms. Deckley.
Sorry, I think I've solved the reason that Paul has not received any emails. The email address that's on the website is incorrect. And Ann and Ruth, there's a dash instead of a dot. Ann and Ruth, I just sent you an email. So
Thank you.
you need to, if it's corrected on the website, then you should be okay going forward.
Great. Great. Thank you very much for observing that.
That is very good. Thank you.
Carlin,
there
I
was
see your hand up.
Oh, look, Carlin.
Hello, Carlin Reed, 83 Wits End. When you're considering what purpose the Personnel Board should serve, consider whether or not you are going to recommend that they listen to public comment on the items that they're going to be considering during their meetings. For example, tomorrow at 5:15, the Personnel Board has a long list of items, and there's one in particular I'm interested in. I don't see on the agenda where they are scheduled to allow public comment, but I wonder if you think it's wise that they actually do listen to that type of observation. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Any other comments from folks?
Mark has his
Just-
hand.
Yeah,
Hi, Mark Howell, and there's Neck Hill Road. Just on meeting mechanics, I do believe that you do have the capability to share your screen. I checked it
you want
just
to
as an
know.
attendee. And it looked like it would have let me share my screen, so I assume that you probably made the same connection I did.
Okay,
And do have that ability. Certainly, it's been enabled on meetings that I'm running for the Fiber Broadband Task Force. So just for future when it's convenient,
thank you, thank you.
you may want to do that.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other comments? Okay. So hopefully on December 6th, we can talk about everybody's stakeholder questions that they're thinking about. Or are we going to ask the personnel board to be in attendance?
Maybe we can do both.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Particularly if we can share our questions before.
Yeah,
And we will have to be careful to send our questions, but don't start a discussion online. That's not acceptable, but you know,
okay,
here folks, here are my questions, see you at the meeting is reasonable.
yeah. Okay, good point. All right. Do I hear any other public comments or any other questions? I'm going to get the letter to the town manager. And hopefully, Ruth, would you check the emails to make sure they're,
Yes. And I will contact the town clerk to change the dates of our upcoming meetings. And I will contact Aaron Stevens, excuse me, for some corrections and additions to the webpage.
great. And Claude will send us out the minutes.
Absolutely. I'll send the final minutes from the previous meeting and the draft minutes. I'll send to Ruth and Ann. Just a point of order, how you want to handle it. I'm comfortable once I send you the minutes, if you want to make any changes and then distribute them after you make the changes. I mean, I
Okay.
don't have a, worry about that kind of ownership. The
Yeah.
only thing I want to avoid is us discussing them. So from my point of view, please feel free to change them, and then we'll discuss them at the next meeting.
Terrific. All right.
Yeah, because it's I often miss things, so I try not to, but sometimes I do.
Well, and then that last one you did because you came in late. So I wasn't sure whether you were there for some of that conversation.
Yep.
Good. Great. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. See you on the 6th then.
We need to
Yes.
vote.
Aye,
Bye.
aye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
bye-bye.
much. Good night.
Bye.
Okay.